Good morning, I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. It is Friday, the 4th of July, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. And here are the stories that matter today. In the ongoing missing Sabongero case, alias Totoy pledges to reveal the identities of involved police officers. Meanwhile, Attorney Lorna Kapunan, representing the Ang camp, maintains that everything should be proven in court and suggests that a cyber libel case may be added to the charges against Totoy due to his recent statements. President Bongbong Marcos directs government agencies to intensify efforts in mitigating the effects of the rainy season. According to Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro, the President's order includes the immediate clearing of sewers and drainage systems with a focus on Metro Manila. The House of Representatives sees the refiling of proposed measures seeking to outlaw political dynasties and to enact an absolute divorce law. We will delve into this topic later in the program. Welcome to our program Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, alias Totoy promises more exposés in the missing Sabongero case. This time, naming cops he says were involved. Atong Ang's camp responds with criminal charges. Here's the report.
Itinuring ko siyang tatay, umiiyak nga ako sa harap niya pag may mga problema ako. Pero ang hindi ko matanggap, Cyril, yung patayin niya buong pamilya ko.
This was Julie Dondon Patidongan alias Totoy speaking out against his former boss, Atong Ang. Ang has filed multiple complaints against Totoy at the Mandaluyong Prosecutor's Office, including grave threats, grave coercion, slander, incriminating against innocent persons, and conspiracy to commit attempted robbery with violence against or intimidation of persons. He accuses Totoy of extorting 300 million pesos to keep Ang's name out of the missing Sabongeros case. But Totoy claims it was Ang's camp that tried to silence him with a $500 million offer to leave the country.
Nakakatawa naman, isang bilyonaryo, isang makapangyarihan na tao, kikilan ko. Ubod ng sinungaling yan, Cyril. Ang gusto niya, tanggapin ko na yung offer niya at lumayas na daw ako. Punta na lang daw ako sa ibang bansa.
Totoy insists Ang is the mastermind behind the disappearance of more than 100 cockfighters, saying 2 of the suspected abductors even accompanied Ang to the prosecutor's office.
Mr. Atong Ang, yan lang masasabi ko sa iyo. Huwag ka magtago sa katotohanan. Alam mo to, ikaw mismo nag-utos sa akin at ikaw mismo ang nagsabi dyan sa grupo ng mga pulis na iligpit na yan. Ang ganyang mga witness against sa akin, yun yung suspect na bumitbit ng dalawa ng nawawalang missing Sabongero. Yun yung si Rodelo Anigig at si Toto Roger Burican. Yung nakapula kanina, yan yun. Kaya kong patunayan at mayroon akong lahat ng sinuot niyan at may tattoo yan sa paa.
Totoy says he has evidence, including a USB, linking the businessman and several police officers to the crimes. He also named actress Gretchen Barreto as part of the so-called Alpha Group, saying she had knowledge of the crimes due to her close ties to Ang.
Bago mangyari yung mga krimen na yan, nag-usap-usap yung mga yan. Mayroong ibang ayaw pumayag, pero majority yung pumayag. Ang sabi nga ni Mr. Atong Ang, kung hindi natin gagawin ito, babagsak yung negosyo natin. Kaya yan sila, nag-agree yan, kasama yan si Gretchen Barreto. Madam Gretchen, parang awa mo na rin sa sarili mo. Kung gusto mo, tumistigo ka na rin para mapatunayan natin.
Ang's legal counsel, Attorney Lorna Kapunan, maintains that everything should be proven in court.
This is all a matter of evidence. If he has evidence, bring it to court.
She added that they might add cyber libel to Patidongan's cases due to his recent claims.
Listening to your interview, dadagdagan namin ang kasong ipa-file namin because of all the lies that he said in your interview. We will consider interviewing his interview with you in our case for cyber libel.
A family member of one of the missing Sabongeros thanked the DOJ for recent developments in the case.
Masaya. At para akong nabunutan ng tinik sa paglitaw nitong testigo. At
Okay.
sila. Papasalamat ako kay Secretary Remulla na bibigyan na kami ng justisya na makamit namin para sa kaitatahimik ng ng aking anak at sa po na kanilang mga kasamahan.
As for his part, Ang continues to deny any involvement.
Malalaman nyo rin na totoo. Siguro sa pag-iimbesti niya, may lalabas na totoo dyan. Wala kami kinalaman lahat dyan. Kapareho, uulitin ko, sinasabi ko, lahat ng grupo namin, mga desenteng tao yan.
In other news, the low-pressure area off Cagayan has developed into Tropical Depression Bising. It was last spotted 200 kilometers west-northwest of Calayan, Cagayan. It has maximum sustained winds of 45 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 55 kilometers per hour. Pag-asa has raised signal number 1 over parts of Babuyan Islands and Ilocos Norte. Bising may exit the Philippine area of responsibility today, but re-entry is possible by Sunday, July 6. President Bongbong Marcos has ordered government agencies to step up efforts to minimize the impact of the rainy season. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said the president directed the clearing of sewers and drainage systems, especially in Metro Manila. The MMDA has identified 23 priority esteros in the NCR, which are now being cleared using modern equipment. Local disaster offices have also been instructed to activate emergency operations centers, conduct community drills, update contingency plans, and enforce no-build zones in flood-prone areas. Castro said this ensures a whole-of-government approach to disaster prevention.
Napapanahon na po talaga dahil ngayon ay Hunyo at nararamdaman na po natin ang tag-ulan. Pinag-utos na po ng Pangulo na agaran po ang paglilinis ng mga drainage dahil ito po ay makakatulong po na maiwasan ang mabilis na pagbaha, lalo-lalo na po dito sa Metro Manila.
Now, joining us now is Assistant Secretary Rafaelito Alejandro IV, Officer in Charge of the Office of Civil Defense, or OCD. We'll get updates on the government's preparedness for the rainy season. Good morning and thank you for joining us, sir.
Yes, good morning. Magandang umaga sa atin lahat.
Yes, ASEX, what specific preparations po has the OCD made in anticipation of heavy rains and possible flooding?
We have been preparing for the rainy season since this start of the year, no? So we have been upgrading our resources, doing stockpiling of food and non-food items together with the FWD, and prepositioning these items at different strategic locations so that in time for response, they are already downloaded or near the areas where we can immediately distribute or provide assistance to the different LGUs.
Which areas are these po, ASEC?
We have strategic stockpile warehouses in Northern Luzon. We have one in Fort Magsaysay. We have in Cebu and in Cagayan de Oro and Davao. So these are the strategic areas where we put our stockpiles, our food and non-food items, so that we can strategically locate them and do immediate distribution when necessary.
Alright, so kumbaga po, in essence, all systems go na just in case pag kailangan at least ando na ready na ipamigay.
Opo.
But ASEC, in case of mass evacuations, alam naman po natin na maraming mga pamilya po ang nade-displace, ano, pagka po may mga malalakas sa bagyo at nagdudulot po talaga ng baha, no? What systems are in place naman po to support displaced families?
We have already our clusters, yung ating tinatawag na clusters approach system, wherein the DSWD will just activate yung ating mga camp management teams, no? Para sa i-accommodate yung mga evacuee. So tuloy-tuloy po yan. We are rehearsing that. We have SOPs for that. And ina-enhance lang yan every now and then. So lahat ng mga evacuation centers are pre-identified. And may mga camp managers naman designated. And the system is in place. So augmentation din po ang binibigay ng ating DSWD to support local government units.
But what about po the possibility na yung iba pong mga families natin na would opt to stay in their homes kesa po pumunta sa mga evacuation centers? May option po ba silang ganon at mabibigyan din ba sila ng tulong kung sakasakali nasa gitna po sila ng baha yung kanilang area?
Opo. May option din na gano'n, no, na yung assistance ay bibigay sa kanila as long as safe yung kanilang
Right.
lugar, no? Kunwari, kung baha naman, as long as may second level at very stable naman yung kanilang kabahayan, no need to go to evacuation center, basta safe. But kung kailangan talaga, we urge them to relocate and go to their designated evacuation centers. Pero meron din tayong system of support dun sa mga hindi umaalis, lalo na kung talagang safe sila at nag-accommodate ng mga kamag-anak na nanggaling sa mga areas na hindi safe. So, binibigyan din yan. Kasama po yan sa bilang na binibigay nating suporta. So, we support both in those inside and those outside the evacuation centers.
Right. But Asik, since you mentioned kanina, no, yung mga food packs and other essential relief goods have been pre-positioned na in vulnerable areas. Yung mga boats po ba and mga rescue equipment na kinakailangan din po natin sa pag-rescue ng mga madi-displace po nating families in time po na magkaroon ng baha, ay ito rin po ba ready na?
Opo, kasi ang first responders natin ay mga LGUs. Yung mga national assets po ay nakakalat na rin yan sa mga different, kung AFP po may mga designated units naman na handang merong mga rubber boats na ready po in different areas. So yung Coast Guard natin naka-ready din yan and ating Bureau of Fire. So kasi we operate on the basis na ang ating response ay dependent dun sa mga response units natin na nakakalat naman sila strategically in different areas to support local government response po.
Pero Asik, in years of covering po typhoon-stricken areas, ang nakikita po natin problem din po dito madalas na okay, we're all ready, all systems go, lahat ng food packs and every equipment na kinakailangan. Ang nangyayari po kasi yung pagpunta doon mismo ng mga rescuers, roads are packed also, nagtumbahan yung mga trees, yung mga poste, etc. Paano po tayo magpaplano pag ganun po yung sitwasyon natin?
Opo, ang ginagawa nating planning, kasama sa planning kasi yung ating pagkandak ng tabletop, exercises, pagsasanay, no? And kinoconsider yung lahat ng mga scenarios na yan. So, yung ating mga responders ay equipped din with necessary equipment para to pave way for their movement. So, meron silang mga chainsaws, mga cutting material na maaari nilang gamitin pag na-block yung kanilang daan, no? But there are some preemptive measures na ginagawa na rin kasama yan sa plano, like mga pruning ng mga trees, no, para hindi masyado affected ng malakas na hangin or pag-ulan. So may mga preemptive measures na ginagawa din ng ating mga local government para din ma-ensure yung efficient response. So para madali na lang ang road clearing kumbaga, i-anticipate na natin yung mga ganyang scenario. So ginagawa mo yan through exercises, tabletops, and scenario building po. So yun po ang paghahandang ginagawa natin.
Asik, mandato nyo rin po ba yung mga ginagawa dito din sa Metro Manila, yung mga pagtatanggal o pagbabaklas ng mga malalaking signages or billboards na maaari pong matumba, malaglag in times of malakas na bagyo?
Opo. Kasama yan sa checklist na dapat gawin, no, ng mga LGUs. For Metro Manila, very basic po yan. Nasa checklist yan. Pag may incoming bagyo, yung mga pagtanggal ng mga malalaking tarpaulins, mga advertising material. So makikita mo sa EDSA pag maaga ang alert natin, inaayos nila yan o tinatanggal. So kasama po yan. Nasa checklist po yan na-develop natin, no, together with the ILG. Tinatawag natin dyan Operation Listo, checklist or manual. So meron na po yan. Kailangan lang po i-exercise at gawin ng ating mga local government units.
Lastly, ASEC, the President has already ordered government agencies to step up efforts to minimize the impact of rainy season, even ordered DPWH to clean po yung mga drainage para walang clogs na mga basura doon. But how are we coordinating with different agencies as well? And what are we doing differently to make sure na we have zero casualties?
Yung ating usual cluster approach and of course yung coordination na facilities natin na nasa Aguinaldo, doon po nag-meet yung mga focal persons natin, mga in charge, no, whenever we do respond. But isang bagong ginawa natin sa pangunguna ni Secretary Teodoro, itong pag-establish niya ng interagency coordination cell dyan din sa amin sa OCD na mas gusto niya face-to-face yung interaction and immediate decisions are made right there and then. So na-activate po ito to support yung ating emergency operation center. So itong ating interagency coordination cell, nandyan po yung mga decision makers ng different agencies kasi yun po ang delay natin pag representative lang tapos hindi siya authorized to decide. Medyo bumabagal yung responde natin. So under SNP Teodoro's guidance, meron tayong tinatawag na IACC na doon, right there and then, decisions are made para ma-implement ka agad on the ground. So, nalilesen natin yung delay doon sa proseso na yan. So, yun po yung bago na ginagawa natin under the guidance of Secretary Teodoro. And of course, in compliance to the President's directive na dapat mabilis, efficient, and effective yung response ng national government.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We will continue to get in touch with you regarding this issue. Maraming salamat po, Assistant Secretary Rafaelito Alejandro IV.
Maraming salamat din po.
All right, thank you so much. Now, don't go away. We will be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, has raised a blue alert status as it prepares for possible impacts from tropical depression Bising and the southwest monsoon. The agency said it has mobilized over 1,100 quick response teams, pre-positioned more than 3 million food packs, and deployed specialized units, including mobile kitchens and command centers. It identified regions 1, 2, 3, and the Cordillera region as priority areas. The DSWD assured protection measures for women and children have also been activated, with emergency kits ready for deployment nationwide.
We are preparing po na lahat ng mga tatamaan, posibleng tamaan ng ating low pressure area ay readily available yung ating mga food and non-food items. Kasama din po dyan yung mandato ni DSWD na mas paghusayan ang ating mga camp coordination and camp management at yung ating po mga pag-ensure sa social protection ng ating mga internally displaced person.
Justice Secretary Boying Remulla said businessman Atong Ang and actress Gretchen Barreto will be included as suspects in the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of several Sabongeros. This development follows a testimony of Julie Dondon Patidongan, a former security chief at Ang's Cockpit Arenas, who identified Ang as the alleged mastermind and linked Barreto to the case.
Mapapasama sila. Kasi nga, pinangalanan sila, then we will have to include them as suspects. Mabigat lang talaga itong laban dito kasi nga sobrang daming pera at sobrang daming koneksyon.
Remulla said prosecutors are now carefully reviewing the evidence to determine the appropriate charges, noting that formal charges could be filed soon. The DOJ reportedly has a lead on where in Taal Lake the missing Sabongeros may have been buried.
Sooner than later, it will happen. I-evaluate yan ng fiscals, ang ating group of fiscals who will be assigned to evaluate all the evidence so that we will know what cases to file properly. Kasi syempre, may specific cases yan na kinakailangan magkaroon ng elements ng crime na pwede namin i-prove as prosecutors.
Meanwhile, families of missing Sabongeros believe the claims of alias Totoy. Some of them, they say they've long known who's behind their loved ones' disappearance. Here's the report.
This is 14-year-old Maison Ramos. For just 1,000 pesos, he was recruited to feed roosters at a cockpit arena in Santa Cruz, Laguna. But since December 30, 2021, over 3 years have passed, Maison has never been seen again. When alias Totoy came forward, he named 3 masterminds behind the missing sabongeros, including World Pitmasters Cup owner Charlie Atong Ang. The victim's family stood by his claims, among them, Maison's aunt.
Sa akin pong paniniwala ay totoo naman po yung kanyang sinabi dahil hindi naman po siya magbubuwis ng buhay kung hindi naman po siya magsasabi ng totoo.
The family didn't name anyone, but insisted they've long had information about who is behind the disappearances. Now, they have just one plea.
Sana po ay mahukay na po yung Salt Lake para po kahit pa paano ay makuha po namin kahit buto po nung pamangkin ko.
In a separate case, Eric Legaspi, brother of Gerald, was last seen at a cockpit arena in Manila. Gerald believes Totoy's testimony is key to knowing who the mastermind is.
Kami po ay nagpapasalamat kay alias Totoy sapagkat siya po ang susi namin mga nawawalang mga kamag-anak ng mga sabongero.
Malacanang vows that no one will be spared in the probe into the disappearance of missing sabongeros. This after self-proclaimed whistleblower Julie Dondon Patidongan, also known as alias Totoy, tagged businessman Atong Ang. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro stressed that President Bongbong Marcos is committed to pursuing justice. Asked whether Patidongan could be turned into a state witness, Castro said that will be up to the Department of Justice.
Sino man, anumang katayuan sa buhay, kung sila man ay personalidad na kinikilala, wala pong sisinuhin ang Pangulo at ang administrasyon. I-evaluate po ang testimony niya at kung sino pa yung ibang mga witnesses na pwedeng gawing state witness.
Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back after a short break. Good morning, I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro, and here on Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. Bills seeking to ban political dynasties and legalize absolute divorce have been refiled at the House of Representatives. ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino and Kabataan Representative Rene Co revived the proposed Anti-Political Dynasty Act, which bars relatives up to the 4th degree from holding or running for office simultaneously. They also filed the Absolute Divorce Bill alongside 4Ps Representative J.C. Abalos to allow legal dissolution of marriage in cases of abuse or irreparable breakdown. Proponents say the divorce bill seeks to protect children from toxic environments and empower vulnerable spouses to rebuild their lives. Now let's discuss the anti-dynasty and absolute divorce bills with ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Kong. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, good morning, Angela. Good morning to everyone.
Again, to give us a context before we dive into the specifics of this bill, ano po ba talaga ang definisyon ng political dynasty?
Well, sa bill na final namin, meron talagang definition ng political dynasty ron. So essentially, it is a family or clan that accumulates political power by running for and holding positions, elective positions, either consecutively or simultaneously. So yun po yung definition natin, no? Isang pamilya na tumatakbo either ng sabay-sabay o magkasunod, no? Para mahawakan ng maraming posisyon sa politika.
But some lawmakers or politicians have argued before, time and again, na kahit sila na may mga kasama sila na mga nakaposisyon sa gobyerno, ay hindi po nila inaamin na sila ay political dynasty for such reasons like wala naman sila mga baluarte, yung mga ganung mga reasons. Your thoughts on that po?
Well, whether or not a political dynasty admits it, no, it is a fact, no? And
Right.
precisely what the bill seeks is to define. Kaya nga nasa title
Right.
yun ng final namin, no? An act defining and prohibiting political dynasties. So ngayon, for as long as nandun yung mga katangian yung pamilya mo ay pasok dun sa mga katangian, then you're a political dynasty. If sabay-sabay kayong nag-occupy ng iba't ibang position sa gobyerno na elective, or nagpapalitan kayo, no, ng position sa
Right.
isang pamilya, then political dynasty kayo.
Sabi nga
And
po
then
nila,
for bawat.
right. Sabi po nga nila, Kong, for the end time, nag-file po kayo ng anti-political dynasty. This time around, do you believe na may pag-asa itong bill na inyong final for the 20th Congress?
Well, I believe that there was a turning point, especially with this last election. No? Talagang ramdam natin yung pagbago ng public opinion kaugnay sa dynasties. No? Especially since nung nakaraang eleksyon, nakita natin talaga yung magkakapatid,
Right.
magkakapamilya, tumakbo para sa, meron kang sa Senate, meron kang sa Congress, meron kang sa local government position, sabay-sabay. No? In not just one instance, but in several instances.
Right.
Ganon. Kaya iba na rin talaga ang reaction ng mga tao. Tingin nila sumusobra na talaga yung pamamayagpag ng mga political dynasties. And many people now see the close connection between political dynasties and yung problema natin ng malaganap na kahirapan, yung problema natin ng corruption, yung problema ng lack of accountability, no? Kasi hindi natin mapanagot yung mga nagkakasalang opisyal dahil magkakamag-anak silang lahat. No? So kaya tingin natin may mas malakas na suporta talaga ang publiko ngayon. Kaya may chance tayo
Right.
na maisulong ang bill na ito.
Pero kung while we recognize po the public's clamor or reaction to this or yung saloobin nila dito sa bill na to, some would argue na paano papasayan yung mismo mga lawmakers mo sa Congress and sa upper house sa Senado kinabibilangan allegedly na kinabibilangan ng mga political dynasty.
Well, that has always been the problem. So 1987 pa nga yung constitutional mandate na magpasa ang Kongreso. Ang Kongreso dapat magpasa ng batas na nagpabawal sa political dynasty. Pero as you said, hindi nga nangyayari until now. Even though mula noon hanggang ngayon, katulad ng ginawa namin, nag-refile tayo. Dahil nga sa makasariling interest ng mga nakaupo, most or many of whom belong to political dynasties. Pero in the end, so in other words, wala tayong ilusyon. This will remain an uphill battle. Pero ang kailangan talaga ay, in the end, it's the public, yung mga mamamayang Pilipino. Kailangang maramdaman kayo ng mga politiko natin sa Kongreso at Senado na gusto natin na once and for all ay pagwawal yung political dynasties,
Right.
mabuksan ang political participation, ibig sabihin yung the chance to join public service through elections. Dapat mabuksan ito sa mas maraming mamamayan, yun ang intention sa konstitusyon.
Right.
So in the end, important ang magiging role ng public kung gusto nating sumulong ito, no? So by directly contacting your representatives in Congress or yung mga people expressing themselves, for example, on social media,
Right,
and the like. And of course, nandyan pa yung mga mobilizations, protests if necessary. Parang nangyari nung na-abolish yung PDAF, yung pork barrel. during the
Right.
time of the corruption scandal related to that. So the public will play an important role
Right.
kung gusto nating maisulong to.
Right. It's good that you mentioned that, Kong, kasi many people somehow accept political families because natutulungan sila, in essence, yung mga ayudas, yung mga programa ng pamahalaan. And how do we shift that mindset, especially in the far-flung areas, na ito pong mga tulong na binibigay, ay but of taxpayers' right naman po?
Well, I think precisely to make it clear that itong mga ayuda or whatever, social services, like for example, education, health, and so on, that these are rights. Concrete example niyan, nung ipinasa ng Kongreso yung free tertiary education law, yung libreng kolehiyo, okay, dati wala pa yung batas na yan. So kasama sa mga gawain ng mga politiko noon, pagbibigay ng mga scholarship, college scholarships and so on. Pero nung naipasa na yung batas, recognizing it as a universal right or right of every Filipino, that to education, including higher education, nawala na di na ginagawa ng mga politiko yung pagbibigay ng scholarship. So I think that's one approach para mabawasan na yung role of political patronage sa pag-access ng mga basic services which are actually a right of Filipinos. So pwedeng mas ganun ang direksyon, that we can do that with health as well, or yung ayuda na tinatawag, ibig sabihin yung social welfare services, to institutionalize them as rights that can be accessed by everyone na hindi ka na kailangang dumaan sa politiko. The same way na ngayon, pag gusto mo i-enroll ang anak mo sa public school, hindi mo naman kailangan dumaan pa sa politiko para magawa yon.
Pero Kog, one sambayan filed before the Supreme Court, yung asking to compel the Congress to act about this political dynasty bill. Do you believe this has legal and this has practical merit, or symbolic lang po ito? Makukumpel ba ng Supreme Court ang Congress to act on it?
Yeah, of course it has merit, and we welcome that, and that's an important people or citizens initiative. So, yun nga yung sinasabi natin na mahalaga yung mga ganitong tipo ng aksyon ng mga mamamayan mismo para pinapakita talaga na yung clamor for passing an anti-dynasty law. So okay yun, and that will also help in putting additional pressure on Congress to act.
Right. Doon naman po sa absolute divorce bill na na-file din po, how is this version different from the past proposal?
It's not
Or it's basically the
really
same?
that different. Yung particular bill na final natin, which was the bill that was originally refiled by Gabriela Women's Party with the previous Congress, ay hindi, may mga ilang kaibahan na lamang doon sa version na pumasa on third reading in the previous Congress, in the House. So essentially, it institutes divorce, absolute divorce, binabalik ang divorce. So para madiin din na dati meron namang divorce sa Pilipinas, so binabalik lamang ito. Tapos, yun nga, kino-consolidate yung mga grounds for divorce. Ngayon kasi meron tayong legal separation under the family code, legal separation, declaration of nullity of marriage, tapos may annulment. So pinagsasama-sama yung mga grounds nito. Plus, dinadagdag pa yung others, so yung irreconcilable marital differences at saka yung domestic violence, among others. Tapos, pinadadali rin yung proseso. including yung financial burden para sa mga lower income individuals.
Pero ang dami pong mga ilang advocates na do not agree with the divorce bill. Ano po ba yung promise nitong divorce bill na to para dun po sa mga very conservative regarding this bill?
Ang isa rito ay katulad nga ng sinabi ko, largely yung grounds ay binatay sa mga existing grounds na. No? Or yung annulment, declaration of nullity, legal separation. Nandiyan na yan. So in other words, kahit yung mga tumututoy sa divorce, kinikilala na yon. Tapos nagdagdag lang ng ilan pa. Katulad ng nabanggit ko, no, yung domestic violence, yung irreconcilable differences. Tapos, meron pa rin namang, so this is not proposing no-fault divorce, no? Which in some other countries, for example, yun, mas mabilis na talaga. Wala na masyadong proseso, judicial process to establish the grounds, no? Sa atin, nararatili pa rin yun. Meron pa rin, kailangan dumaan pa rin sa korte, kailangan patunayan pa rin na may grounds. So that is meant to assure the critics na hindi ito yung, sabi nga nila, Las Vegas style daw na marriage and divorce.
Magpapakasal ka lang, tapos pag
within
nag-away,
minutes,
divorce
pwede
na.
nang ma-divorce ka. So that is meant to assure those critics, no, na may pagrespeto sa institusyon ng marriage, and then this is really a last resort.
Right. But how confident are you, Kong, that lawmakers will support itong bill na ito, knowing na, especially sa upper house, sa Senate, may mga talagang nag-o-oppose sa bill na to kasi based on their religious beliefs?
Well, sa House, nakita natin na pumasa ito on third reading in the previous Congress. So it won by a handy majority. So that in itself is significant. No? Ibig sabihin, the House there is reflecting, again, the state of public opinion. So sa mga surveys, pinapakita na majority na ng mga Filipinos sang-ayon at tanggap ang pangangailangan ng divorce. No? So nagbago na talaga at bumukas na, as it were, ang pag-iisip ng mayoryas ng mga Pilipino dito sa pangangailangan ng divorce. So sa Senate, of course, alam natin there are some prominent members of the Senate who have publicly announced that they will oppose divorce. So, well, again, yun yung challenge naman na kakaharapin ng pagsasabatas ng divorce bill. And again, importante yung role ng publiko para maipanalo ito despite such opposition, particularly in the Senate.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. That was ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino. Have a good day.
Thank you, Angela. Good morning.
Now, don't go away. More matters to discuss after the break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is set to limit e-wallet links to online gambling to protect consumers. The central bank said a draft circular is under review to require banks and e-money issuers to restrict gaming access. The BSP also reminded banks and e-wallets to cut ties with unlicensed gambling operations, including removing links to e-sabong platforms. The move aims to balance consumer protection with legitimate digital payment use. Several senators, including Sherwin Gatchalian and Joel Villanueva, have filed bills to regulate or ban online gambling. Meanwhile, Zambales 1st District Representative Jay Congun has filed a House resolution calling for an investigation into the alleged poor service of Prime Water. According to Kong Hoon, residents in his district have been directly affected by the company's unsatisfactory water service. He clarified that the investigation is not politically motivated despite Prime Water being owned by the Villar family.
Nakikita naman ng mga kababayan namin doon kung ano yung problema, kung gaano kasama yung kanilang serbisyo. So hindi ito pwedeng tignan as a political issue actually dahil sobrang dami ng tao na apektuhan.
La Union 1st District Representative Paulo Ortega has expressed support for the resolution. Prime Water has yet to issue an official statement on the matter.
Kahit marahil yung mga ibang congressmen, pare-pareha kami ng problema sa local. Actually, yung local water district namin, pinasuspend nila yung operations, pero nakakuha po sila ng TRO. So, tuloy pa rin yung operations. Yun nga lang, syempre yung satisfaction ng mga consumers, talagang gatulo.
The MMDA plans to implement the No Contact Apprehension Policy or NCAP on roads near select private schools to address traffic choke points. The agency says vehicles dropping off and picking up students often occupy 2 to 3 lanes, causing severe congestion near schools like Ateneo, La Salle, Green Hills, and Miriam College. To improve traffic flow and reduce bribery incidents, the MMDA says it will install CCTV cameras instead of deploying traffic enforcers. The MMDA will conduct individual consultations to finalize guidelines before the policy is fully implemented.
Inaaral po namin na isang lane lang po ang ibigay sa kanila para makapasok ng school. Kasi 3 lanes lang po yan. Kung ma-observe nyo. Hindi naman po pwedeng i-allot natin yung 2 or 3. Wala na po makakadaan.
And in sports, Alas Pilipinas women booked a spot in the VTV Cup 2025 semifinals after a straight sets win over Thailand's Estcola 25-17, 25-21, 25-21. The Philippine squad carried the momentum from their back-to-back wins in pool play, showing poise and consistency throughout the match. Brooke Van Sickle and MJ Phillips set the tone early, spearheading the attack in opening the set. As young Thais tried to rally in the next 2 sets, Alas leaned on Vanny Gandler, Iya Lori, and Leila Cruz to seal the deal. With the win, Alas Pilipinas sets up a high-stakes semi-final clash against defending champion Corabelca today, July 4. And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you just the right start to your morning. Let's make the day matter. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. We are One News, all sides, all the time.